You gotta be kidding me. I still had dreams. I still just barely got into the starting line. I stood up and suddenly put all my strength into my thigh muscles. He spoke right as my body began to fly up. I mean, you wouldn't want to be falsely arrested, right? Unable to drain all the strength in my thighs, my body floated as I hoped lightly backwards. With a slow, gentle trajectory, my back tapped against the wall. Wait, wrongly arrested? That's right. Those two officers were chasing after a boy aged 15 to 17, age height around 160 centimeters, slender, black hair, black eyes, Asian features, wearing a black backpack. Why isn't that him? The girl in black replied to this description. That's what I thought too, but after talking to them some more, I realized it was someone else. I was slightly confused. When did I get asked that? That woman had known for a long time that I was a runaway. I've been going in and out of that restaurant for a while, and I had met her a number of times. Running away from home as a minor was technically against the law. While it was not something you'd be punished for, it was assumed that public order would be deteriorated by jobless, penniless minors wandering the streets, and so they cracked down on me. That's why the woman's words didn't make sense to me. Confused, and with my back still against the wall, I heard the woman let out a light sigh and continue to talk. Those officers weren't looking for some runaway kid. They were after a thief. Thief? That's right. Oh well, considering this ammo and circumstances, I could see how someone like you could be suspect. Hearing this, I was reminded how persistent the woman was when it came to the most random things. And that's why you wouldn't stop asking me whether or not I had lunch? Exactly. The other day, someone stepped a nearby restaurant on a bill. According to eyewitnesses, the suspect looked just like you as usual. But I didn't think that someone would or you Jerry with carefree, satisfied expression on his face right after gobbling up a crab fried rice would do something like that, you know? The woman giggled as she said this. Slightly miffed, I glared back at her. I wouldn't do something dirty like that over something like 10 moles. Of course not. I checked with Serov too. Oh, and I made sure to hold on to your change in your adapter. That made me feel a little relieved. The adapter was especially important. If you were smart enough, you could do just about anything with an electrical appliance, though most purchases required showing personal identification. If my adapter were to be returned to the police as a lost article, they might figure out my identity as a snap. I heard that on Earth, even a child could anonymously buy parts that could easily be made into a cutting-edge missile. Now that's a scary place. So that's going on. You should come back to my place. I honestly could not understand what she was saying. What? Are you thinking about going back to the cafe? I asked Sarah out and he said the four stern-looking guys are taking patrols looking nice. It was not a result that was hard to predict. Only if that's the case, then I'd be back to sleeping on the hard ground of some deserted area. To be honest, doing that took a big toll on my body. Not being able to get a calm night's sleep was the worst part about this police patrol. As far as getting sleep, the Big Bull Cafe had a roof and running water, and if you said that you wanted to pay the premium fee, you get the sense of security that came with knowing that you'd be alerted if something dangerous started to go down. The question was whether or not that's the reason to jump on an invitation from some suspicious woman who put tracking devices in people's bags for fun. Even in stock trading, a too good to be true balance sheet was sometimes used to prime the pump right before a huge crash. I understand if you could be suspicious, but I just told you, right? It's like a hobby for me. The woman told me this as I remained doubtful. Bringing runaways like me into your home was your hobby? She's either a pervert with some bizarre hobbies, or could it be my charm? I think I basically know what you're thinking, but the woman then laughed in amazement. Unfortunately for you, boys younger than me aren't my thing unless they're holding giant blood-soaked scissors. What? Then what? What are you after? Is it money? As soon as I said these words, the smile disappeared from the woman's eyes. Did she get mad? Just from that? Well, I had the feeling that I'd already said a lot of other things that should have made her angry, but was still surprised at the sudden change. Watching my face, the woman must have realized the change in her own expression. Oh, I'm sorry. She spoke in a forced tone, then rubbed the area around her eyes gently with both hands. This completely disarmed and confused me. Not only that, I was faced with the grim reality of not having any place to go. The woman in front of me allowed me to escape from the restaurant, so in that sense I owed her a lot. I then concluded that aside from the part of being a runaway, I did consider myself a decent human being, so I should probably reply with something like this. If I do end up being a burden on you, I won't be able to pay much, you know. While I had realized she wasn't especially interested in my money, I still had enough decency to feel bad about not paying someone who took care of me. That's why I said what I said. But would she understand? As I kept staring at the woman, she finally grinned and nodded. Of course. I'll take a little for food and other costs, but it should still be a lot better than wandering around outside. Oh, and the woman continued. After all, I take a shower too. Huh? Nothing you should worry about. What do you do? There's nothing else I could do. There's only one way I could answer. Thanks. You should be more honest and just say from the beginning. The woman continued to smile as she said that, but I told her in my head to be more reasonable. Okay, then let's head back. It is much later. I won't get a good excuse to get to police. Hearing the word police, I nodded, once again realizing and recognizing the precarious situation I was in. However, while both the woman and I tried to set off, there was someone who wouldn't budge an inch. It was the girl dressed in black. While I wasn't sure if she was listening to my conversation with the woman or not, she had an absent-minded look on her face. What are you doing? The woman asked. It was a very pertinent question. The girl, still not answering, turned her head and stared my way. Her utterly conceited expression immediately reminded me of the irritating argument I just had with her. What? I said this to her with a voice full of anger. I knew that my remark would be ignored or snubbed, but she was being upsetting that it just came out that way. As I expected, the girl then turned away snootily with all the annoying elegance of some sort of princess. Hagana? You're not trying to throw a tantrum like some child, are you? Someone used the name Hagana to refer to the girl. Still snootily turned away, the girl called Hagana gave no reply. With this, I was roughly able to guess what was going on. The woman inviting me to her house most likely meant that I would be living under the same roof as this obnoxious girl named Hagana. Naturally, I was upset that I'd been openly rejected by her, but taking a step back, I suppose I could understand how Hagana felt. This put me at a bit of a loss. Should I get angry, or should I respond like an adult? Only, this wasn't the time or place to dawdle. As I was about to say that I didn't mind even sleeping in the garden, she spoke first. I can't stand up. What? Hagana looked up at the woman who replied to her and continued. I can't even put any strength on my hips. It's cause she tackled me. Hagana looked at me as she said this. The woman looked at me. You tackled her? Really? I vaguely recalled something like this happening in kindergarten or elementary school. Teacher so-and-so tackled someone or another. But I was not one to use violence without a reason. If the girl in black looked over in response to a sound and saw someone searching through her own bag, wouldn't she have done the same thing? Right as I went to say this, I'm faced with the fact that I tackled a delicate girl and began to realize that I'd done something that was hard to make an excuse for. Women are such unfair creatures. I cursed the black-clad and white-skinned Hagana as a shrewd tactician. I guess so. Wait, no, but... Well, but... I can imagine the situation. In that case, in a fight, both parties are to blame. The woman said this, then pointed to Hagana. Hagana looked at the tip of the finger as if it was covered in some sweet syrup. If you can't walk, then have him carry you on his back. The woman pointed her finger towards me. Still attracted by the finger, Hagana's gaze shifted to me. Wait, how is that a punishment for both of us? That doesn't make any sense. While I protested, the woman raised her eyebrows ever so slightly, as if to insist that I listen to her. This was a blatant favoritism, I thought. After all, the person that she's saying has to be carried must also... Oh. I began to think, then realized. In a fight, both parties are to blame. Okay, hurry up if you understand. This wasn't just any ordinary woman. Hagana also made a face as though she had come to some sort of realization, then nodded. I sighed, put my bag on my front side, and walked up towards Hagana. She was sitting down, so her face was in a somewhat erotic... What? Her face was in somewhat erotic position? Hagana hadn't made particularly expressive faces to begin with and stared up at me emotionlessly. Sadistic desires began to well up in me, thinking that I'd feel a lot better if I slapped the side of her face as hard as I could. What? However, I felt as though if I dwelt on these thoughts for too long, I might actually slap her. So I quickly crouched down and turned my back to her. I wasn't sure how long it'd take, but living under the same roof as her seemed like it'd be a pain. At least until the friction between us settled down. I should avoid any potential points of conflict. Come on, Hagana. Come on, Hagana. Turn your arms to the right. I tried to give Hagana, who seemed to be telling the truth about not being able to stand, a hand in climbing on my back. Hagana's thin arms wrapped around my neck, then stiffened awkwardly. Actually, it seemed like this girl had never climbed on someone's back. Hagana, you're not gonna be dangling from his neck. You're getting on his back. The woman explained, and after a bit of silence, Hagana shifted her body onto my back. Only two small but soft bodies touched my back. Oh god. As I was responsible for carrying her, I wrapped my hands around the bottom of Hagana's thighs. I was filled with a strange thought. So this is what legs in stockings felt like. Shit, it's not bad. Okay. Okay, stand. Another part of me nearly rose as well, but with a quick start, I put my strength into my two legs. I hadn't been skipping my resistance training, so I could pretty easily carry around about 5 times my weight. Once when the girl was practically nothing to me. Oh, you're stronger than I thought. Praise didn't feel too bad. Alright, let's go. The woman began to walk. I tried to follow behind her, but Hagana stopped me. Wait! The woman turned back, and we both looked at Hagana's face. Hers was right next to mine. Suddenly, I smelled something sweet and fruit-like for a moment. What is it? As the woman replied, Hagana raised her head a little while, still on my back, and replied quietly, "It really stinks!" The woman looked blankly at Hagana, then at me. A strange, cheerful smile began to appear on her face. In a fight, both parties are to blame. I'm going to make her bow down to me one day. At that moment, I added another item to my list of missions. It seemed as though the place I tumbled into after running like mad wasn't a sewer, it was more precisely a reservoir. As Newton City was designed to gather everything, including people, water, and wealth, if there happened to be a problem with the city's water circulation facilities, there was a fear that the low-lying Newton City could flood. For that reason, there were apparently 2 additional layers of facilities for long-term water storage. That water went from the outer sections to Green City, then from Green City to Newton City. While I didn't know the first thing about this, I did know that I was in a place with an incredibly fantastic atmosphere, and that was why other towns generally forbid entry into these reservoirs. It's because couples like that get together tend to be drawn to... It's It's because couples that get together tend to be drawn towards places like that. I nodded in agreement with that observation. Also, this area seemed to be quite a low-income neighborhood, even by the standards of the Sixth Order outer section. And it was full of homes on the verge of collapsing, even here on the gravity-weak moon. Even so, this many lights in the town made it easy to recognize that lots of people live here. For a town in the outer sections, this one was relatively old. Apparently, it used to be more lively in the past. As it was also night, there was almost nothing there related to liveliness. Actually, it looked like a scene out of some children's tale from long, long ago. This place wasn't a reality, but rather ruins from the real world overlapping with the glory of days past. That's how the place looked to me. But every once in a while, someone would go out of the eaves of their home under the imitation stars projected on the dome and amuse themselves by drinking alcohol or by playing a game of chess or go. It may have been a poor area, but it seemed incredibly safe. They say it was an old town, which must have meant that its residents had stopped developing the area. No, Siri, I wasn't talking to you. Newton City had developed at a rate that threatened to surpass even the most advanced nations on Earth. So some of the people that have been attracted to it worked so hard that you could refresh the list of humanity's richest people and see changes every day. Put it another way, the people who decided not to compete became comparatively poorer by the day. Getting poorer under capitalism meant that you're being forced that much further back in the big race. Not only that, I didn't want to become one of the masses. But if I failed, then I'd end up like those people. Agana had finally stopped calling me smelly. I rearranged her position on my back, then asked myself a question sternly. Are we still not there yet? No matter how light they may be, people aren't the easiest things to carry on one's back. Especially when it's a girl you're carrying. You have to watch where you put your hands. Hearing my question, Lisa looked over her shoulder and nodded slightly. As I sighed, thinking that we still had more to go, Lisa's feet suddenly stopped. We're here! Hearing those words, I stopped my feet and raised my head. I wonder what kind of rundown hut we'd arrived to, but to my surprise, I was facing an impressive gate. Actually, wasn't this a bit too impressive of a gate? 2 meters? 3 meters? Wait, more importantly, wasn't this? As I stood so dumbfounded, I forgot that Hagana was on my back. Lisa put a hand on the gate and slowly pushed it open. Didn't even seem to be locked. But considering what this place was, I could understand. Standing in front of me was a building that I had only ever heard of before. Sheltering people is my hobby. You see now why? She opened the double doors and walked in. The next thing I knew, a bearded dude stuck on a cross was right in front of me. Oh. Welcome to the 6th Avenue Church. Lisa said this to me while I was still in shock. You're a Christist? Not Christist, Christian. I thought that was something they only did on Earth. So it's supposed to be a place on the forefront of science and human advancement. Why is there a church here? Or could it be for people from Earth? This place far away from in the sky was supposed to be in heaven. As I looked at Lisa as if she was some exotical animal, she gave a slightly embarrassed grin and shook her head. Well, I suppose you could say that. Don't worry, I'm not trying to convert you or anything. Huh. After a long silence, all I could manage was a puff of laughter through my nose. According to my faith, all I'm doing is let lost sheep rest for a short time. It's the same thing for that girl on your back. I'd already forgotten I was carrying Hagana. Hey, we're here, so I'm gonna let you down. Hurry up and let me down! I felt a flash of anger, but since I was holding on to both her legs, I figured in the end it was a very natural thing to say. Though I was overwhelmed by the temptation to just let her go, I bent my knee slowly and let her down 1 foot at a time. You can stand? Ghana was silent, but she seemed to be amazed that she was standing. What a strange woman. Ah, it's a spider! Sorry guys. I'm gonna end it here. I don't catch that spider. Holy shit! Have a good one!